Hello everyone, this is Manpreet from a Nursing Scope. So most welcome to my channel. I hope you all are doing very well. So in this video, I'll cover all about IV therapy. That will include the IV solutions, IV cannula and complications of IV therapy. So don't miss this video if you are going to appear for central or any state exam. So do watch the video till the end and subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed yet so that you receive all timely notifications. So let's start the video with first question. So which of the following solution is most likely to be recommended to the patient with cerebral edema? So here are the options: isotonic solution, hypotonic solution, hypertonic solution or colloids. So here the right option is option C, that is hypertonic solution. So this hypertonic solution removes the water from brain cells back into the intravascular spaces. So this helps in reducing the cerebral edema. So with this, moving to our next question. Which of the following IV solution is hypertonic solution? So here are the options: 0.9% sodium chloride, Ringer lactate RL, 5% dextrose in water and 10% dextrose in water. So here the right option is option D, dextrose 10% in water. So the 0.9% sodium chloride, Ringer lactate and 5% dextrose in water are the isotonic solutions. So our next question is, which of the following solution causes a cell dehydration and draw the water from intracellular spaces to extracellular spaces? So here are the options: hypertonic solution, hypotonic solution, isotonic solution or colloids. So here the right option is option A, hypertonic solution. So as shown in the image, in the hypertonic solution, the water comes out from a cell, means from the intracellular spaces to the extracellular spaces, and this causes the shrinkage of the cells. While in case of hypotonic solution, there is a movement of water from a extracellular space to the intracellular space, which causes the swelling of cells. So this is the reason why the hypotonic solutions are used in case of intracellular dehydration and hypertonic solutions are used in case of cellular edema. So our next question is, the Ringer lactate contraindicated in which of the following conditions? So here are the options: dehydration, blood loss, burns, liver impairment. So here the right answer is option D, liver impairment. So this Ringer lactate is a isotonic solution used for the fluid replacement. So it is indicated in conditions like dehydration, blood loss and burns, but contraindicated in liver impairment function because the liver is needed to metabolize the lactate. So with this, moving to our next question. Which of the following condition may require fluid restriction? So here are the options: fever, COPD, renal failure and dehydration. So here the right option is option C, renal failure. So as we all know, in case of renal failure, the kidneys lost their ability to eliminate the waste products. So this is the reason why IV fluids are restricted. While in conditions like fever, COPD and dehydrations, fluids are encouraged. So our next question is about IV cannula. So the size of intravenous cannula used for neonates is, and here are the options: 18 gauze, 20 gauze, 22 gauze and 24 gauze. So here the right option is option D, 24 gauze. So 24 gauze cannula is the yellow colored cannula used for neonates, toddlers and older children. So the next question is, identify the cannula size shown in the image. So here are the options: 14 gauze, 16 gauze, 17 gauze or 20 gauze. So here the right option is option C, that is 17 gauze. So here is a chart which shows all available sizes of cannula along with their color code, and these are from 14 gauze to 26 gauze, and this white colored cannula is of 17 gauze. It is a newly added cannula and it is only cannula with odd number. So our next questions are about complications of IV therapy. So the nurse noticed that the patient IV site is cool, pale and swollen and solution is not infusing. So the nurse noticed the patient is most likely experiencing which complication of IV therapy? So here are the options: circulatory overload, phlebitis, infiltration, and hematoma. So the right option is option C, that is infiltration. So this infiltration is a seepage of IV fluid out of the vein into interstitial spaces. So coolness, edema, pallor and swelling are the signs of infiltration. So with this, moving to our next question. The infiltration occurs due to, first option is dislodgement of catheter, option B is contamination of IV set, C is too rapid infusion, and D is chemical trauma to the vein. So here the right option is option A, that is dislodgement of catheter. So infiltration is a form of tissue damage which occurs due to dislodgement of catheter or needle, and it is also known as extravasation. So what should nurse do first in case of infiltration of IV fluid? Here are the options: elevate the legs, then discontinue the infusion, then rub the area, and D is apply the warm or moist compresses. So here the right option is option B, discontinue the infusion. So if infiltration occur, then very first step is to remove the device immediately. After that, elevate the extremities and then application of the cold or warm compresses, and that will depend upon the type of IV solution that was infusing, and rubbing the area is not recommended as this can cause the hematoma formation. So the nurse notes the patient IV site is reddened, warm, painful, and there is a slight edema. So the nurse concludes the patient is most likely experiencing phlebitis, infection, allergic reaction, or thrombosis. So here the right option is option A, that is phlebitis. So phlebitis is an inflammation of the vein and it is caused by the chemical irritants like medications or IV solutions, or due to mechanical trauma due to the needle or catheter, and this is always characterized by the redness, tenderness and heat at a site. So our next question is, which of the following is not a sign of circulatory overload? So here are the options: distended jugular veins, rapid breathing, decreased blood pressure, or cough and crackles. So the right option is option C, decreased blood pressure. As the signs of circulatory overload are increased blood pressure, rapid breathing, distended jugular veins, dyspnea, cough and crackles. So the correct option is option C. So with this, moving to the last question of our today's video. The nurse finds the patient is experiencing pounding headache, dyspnea, chills, increased pulse rate and crackles. So the nurse should take which action first? Options are: document the findings, then slow the IV infusion, then inform the physician, or follower's position. So here the right answer is option B, that is slow the IV infusion. So as these signs seems to be correlated with circulatory overload, so here the first action should be the slowing the IV infusion. After that, providing the follower's position so that to ease the breathing, and then informing the physician, and after that documenting the findings. Alright guys, so that's all about the today's video, and if you really like the video then please press the like button and share the video with your friends who are going to appear for any central or state level nursing exam. And one more thing, if you want the PDF form of this content then please write your mail address in the comment section. So we'll see you in next video very soon. Till that time, stay tuned, stay safe. Thank you.